Is the voice carrying? I could step out from it and not need one, but I want to test it to make sure that those of you who need a mic will have one that's functioning. My name is David Meischen. I'm half of Dos Gatos Press. The other one who's not here likes to refer to me as El Segundo. But since I'm the one here, let's call me El Primero today. I know Scott would like to be here. He has had back trouble off and on for about 6 years, and he hates airplanes, and the combination is not good. He's also, he probably won't mind me saying this, and he can't be here to stop me anyway. You know how we become more who we are as we get older? Scott Wiggerman is really settling into the sofa. He's given me permission to travel when I want to travel. And he's taking a studio art class. He's been doing art for decades, but he's been taking a studio art class. I mean, he's the Renaissance man, and sorry he's not here, but he's here in spirit. And he had a lot to do with this. We loved putting this together, and Scott gets credit for the cover. I had no idea what we were going to do. He went to some website, I've forgotten the name of it, and did the Zia shape, and then he started entering words in the little form they have. All of these words are used somewhere in the poems, and then at some point you click this magic internet button and it populated the Zia with the words. Some of them bigger, some of them smaller, some of them repeated, etc. And then he sends me to the computer to use my InDesign knowledge to make it into a cover. We're just delighted with this book. This is our third reading. We had one in Albuquerque first. We've had one in Santa Fe. We're having this one today. I don't have the details yet, but Brazos Bookstore has graciously agreed to host a Houston reading Saturday, July 7th. I know it's going to be god-awful hot, but I have a good friend who owns a house in Round Top, and she wants me to be Uncle Henry for her Wizard of Oz float in the Round Top 4th of July parade. So I'm doing double duty. I'm going to be Uncle Henry on the 4th, and we're going to read on the 7th. So wherever you are in Texas, think about coming to Houston on Saturday, July 7th to read at Brazos Bookstore. Okay, we need to move on. I said Brazos because it's on my brain right now. This is Malvern Bookstore. It is just a gift to the Austin community, to the Texas community, to the poetry community. What other bookstore in the world could you walk into and see an entire wall of just amazing poetry? And the kind of support that Malvern gives to events like this today. You should also know that today is Independent Bookstore Day, and I think there's some kind of strange independent bookstore crawl going on as well. So if people come in and out for part of the crawl, that's okay. Every purchase on Independent Bookstore Day is 20% off. Tell yourself to buy a book. I was in here this morning to buy a book that Cindy Heiser recommended to me yesterday evening, and I might buy more before I leave. In the fall, I just kept coming in here. They've got, that's another thing I love about Malvern. The people who work here don't just run cash registers, they read. They make great poetry. I'm sure other genres as well, but when I've come in here and asked about poetry, I sometimes go out with 4 books that I just feel like I can't live without and take those home to Albuquerque to read. So support your independent bookstore. Keep independent bookstores alive. We need them. I think we need them more than we need our Amazon Prime membership. Okay. So each poet, when we get to you, I'm not going to do lengthy introductions because we're here for poems. And because I'm not, Scott likes to go at random, but that'll just utterly confuse me. We're going to go alphabetically if you don't mind. Actually, we're going to go alphabetically even if you do, because we're comfortable with that. With a book like this, 100-word poems, and Scott always turns to me as the managing editor, the one with the spreadsheets, and I said instantly, they're 100 words. We're going to publish every single one of them we like. It's not going to be too many pages. And because we have room in a book like this, we give ourselves permission as editors to publish ourselves. And as a result, I have a poem in. What we're going to do today is each person is going to read 3 poems. Some people have 3 poems. Some people have 2, some people have 1. A person who has 1 poem is going to read her or his and 2 others from somewhere. For the sake of those who like following along when you read the poems, maybe give a page number. I'm going to do this first, and then I'm going to introduce and get out of the way. I wrote a poem on page 151. My contribution is called Dryland Testament. Oops, it's not on page 150. It's on page 201. Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
201.
Did somebody find it?
201.
There is that quote for me. Yes. I grew up in a part of the world that feels tropical. It's inland from the Gulf of Mexico, and so it's got tropical humidity, but if you look at the landscape, you know you're in the Southwest. It's got caliche and all the plants that go with the Southwest. And so my poem grows out of that experience. It's called Dryland Testament. 1. Field dust, caliche, mesquite. A creek named Agua Dulce by those who came before, this creek adrift in bare dry silt on a scrub brush plain. Fathomless sky, wisps of cloud, heat shimmering the light. Weeks and sometimes months before the rains came. Thunderstorm, gully washer, floodwater rains. Drown your cattle, drown your neighbor, drown yourself rains. 2. We came from the silence of dust, from the window pane tremor of thunder and thirst. We stood in the rows of sorghum and cotton and corn that sprang up when the rains came and cooled us, when the rains came and washed us clean. From there, we can go to page 151. And there is a poem by Karen Schofield called The Hoodoos. I don't know, the first time I read this poem, it knocked me out of my seat, and I was instrumental in nominating this one for a pushcart prize. It's called Hoodoos. Balancing rock, bus resting on a finger of bone. Baby had his daddy whacking sticks. I'd left my good knees at home. That crazy boy balancing the split rail fence on the canyon's lip, hips switched, sneakered. I thought of grabbing his sleeve and then thought, it's dessert that has 2 S's. It wasn't the dust so much as the dust potential, the way the river kept to itself. Red rocks eating rain, and at night you held the baby when the straight line wind started. Nature pairs flowers and thorns, one good gene, one bad, one tiny slip, one boy, more or less. And the third one I'm going to read is on page 209 by a poet from the West Coast who's in the process of deciding she's going to live in New Mexico. We recommend it, by the way. Our friends in New Mexico tell us to stop saying that. They don't want Albuquerque to turn into Austin. We all love Austin, but it's too big. Albuquerque isn't yet. Her poem is called Green House. It's another of my favorites. I want to describe how the sun places a small door on the floor each morning. When I told my mother I've spent these weeks alone watching prairie dogs kick up dust in a field, she asked, "Are they like wolves?" You borrowed the line, "The ideas of poets turn into only themselves." Given flight, A caterpillar is taken by the flower or the flame. The moth near the light, the night you died, had 2 yellow spots, like lemur eyes. In the dream, weavers taught butterflies how to pattern wings. This grief is a burning in the poppy's blaze.